on better how to go about delivering them what's on that syllabus in reality in the classroom. So it ties in with assessments and so forth. Does that make any sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't know how much of an indoctrination you've had about habits of mind. Tiny? Okay, well, you know, it's how do you conduct yourself, you know, intelligently and so forth, and it's based upon things from around that have been out there for a long time, but they brought it together. And so we're hoping, you know, to infuse that into our courses, but most importantly, into how our students behave. So, we know that much.
I get that, and I know why our job is always going to be around.
They need it.
So another connection for you, Martha, see the book you have now?
Yes.
That's indicative of the work then the folk around the table have done in their classes. So hopefully soon you'll be part of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm going to get you to make another connection. The group not only is learning more how to operationalize, but they're also sharing. So we've got friends from the school district, Charles Wash, right now. So I'm going to let Vicki and Maria share with you how and why they're part of the community.
Maria, you want to start?
Well, when Dr. Weiner came to our school about 4 years ago, she did present Habits of Mind, and I think that was the first one, right? So we had my third grade students practice Habits of Mind, and she would come in and do a small lesson. We did skits. We had the clinical field, the FIU students come in and be part of the course. So that got me involved, and then I was for the idea, and from then on, we just continue. So now we're trying to also present it in the after school program. So, and it's reaching out to where the parents are getting involved.
Yeah.
One of the real reasons of the scavenger hunt, to see how many habits of mine I get to practice when I'm trying to use technology, and I really don't know how to do it. But the partnership between you all and Erskine's class, when his clinical experience students come from his intro to ed class, they come to our class rooms, anything from special ed, K to 5, and PE, art, music as well. It's a real collaboration, because this semester, in fact, even yesterday, somebody presented their lesson, and the teacher contacted me. Wow, that was a great lesson. That presentation, did you know about that? And so it's really, from my perspective, it's multi-layered. And it's coming from the university to the public school, and leaving the public school and coming back to the university, and it's a real circuit of partnership and learning. So, Erskine, what would you like to add? Because lucky for us, when we leave major pieces out, you always know what to pick up.
Well, I have a question. How long has the collaboration between the Habits of Mind from here and there been in place?
Yeah, a couple of years, Mark.
Couple years?
It moves with Mickey. Wherever she goes.
Wherever Mickey asks her to go?
And I do move a lot.
Awesome. No, I just asked because I'd be interested to see what kind of longer term effects there is from the students that are in your third grade. Like, how does that affect their fourth grade? How does it affect their fifth grade? And I don't know if there's anything in there that'd be.
We've made it a point where it began from the beginning of this school year, where they're having it on the announcements, the morning announcements. There's a habit presented. We have made it a point to make an area where they Habits of Mind, actually in the third grade wing and downstairs in the aftercare. And these students that we're talking about, the ones I had 2 years ago, it's moved on from third, fourth, and fifth. We had other classrooms also do their lessons on habits of mind. So it's extending what we want to go ahead and start early on. So they're carried on from K and moved on. So they are more familiar, as a school-wide, the students are more familiar with the habit of mind.
I'd be interested in hearing how they present one a day. What do they present with that? How it's being done in a classroom, or what's going on?
Well, sometimes it's just defining the habit of mind and saying something like persistence. Don't give up when you're tired, stick with it. And it's, oh, I got home last night and I was too tired to do my homework. And the other child will say, well, then do 10 jumping jacks and come back, and then can you finish your homework then? If you don't give up totally, stick with it. So sometimes it's just a little bantering conversation. Other times it's reading the definition off of a poster. Other times it's the principal coming on and saying, it was such a delight to walk through the classrooms, and I caught 3 teachers practicing habits of mind, so I gave them a poster, which they have already hung in their room. So, you know, Joyce, to answer your question, it isn't the same exact thing every day, and it's not like you can master a habit in a day. It's just kind of like, I don't want to say random, but it's a real big cross-section, and some days we mention it, and other days we don't, but it's a venue on the public address system to reach out to anyone who is interested, and then they'll say, hey, my class is struggling with listening in the second period. Can you come by and really help me help them how to listen and not just tune out? So it kind of goes back and forth, and the TV is just one avenue that you can
So-
reach some kids and teachers.
I'm interested, do they write up a little, you said bantering back and forth, do they write up a little conversation like a?
At times, some of the classrooms that I've done lessons in have had 2 fifth graders, because they're the ones who usually do most of the announcements. So at times, they'll go that route. We could be more systematic on it, and I know there are ways to improve that, but we think it's a big plus that at least somebody other than me or other than her is now inquiring and asking, can we be included in this, or, you know, this might help us, or, and to answer your question, Martha, in a little bit of a different way, when I first got to this elementary school, I asked the principal, do you want me to share habits of mind, and how do you think we should do it? She goes, yeah. Why don't you pick a class that is self-contained so that the teacher has those kids all day long? Because scheduling was a big problem. The reading people didn't want to give me 30 minutes or 45. The math people didn't want to give me 45 or 30 minutes. And the special areas don't even have, you know, so I began to say to myself, we're going to let scheduling come in the way of thinking and decision-making and helping everything every teacher tries to teach become better? What are we going to do? So Dr. Johnson, our principal, Barbara, she suggested, why don't you go to a 5th grade teacher? You see, our classrooms are all partnered. If there's an even number of classrooms on the grade level, then you're science and math and I'm reading. And then we switch in the afternoon and I do reading again and you do another science and math. But if you have an odd number, there's one person who does all the subjects and is self-contained. So Dr. Johnson thought, use a self-contained person because they don't have to be ready at a certain time to trade kids. They can keep the class. So I remember very clearly, this is a little sense of humor here, I remember going to this teacher's classroom. We made a date, Tuesday at 10. I went Tuesday at 10, introduced myself. I'm new in the school. She meets me, I meet her. I have the lesson, I include her, the kids, everything was great. She thanked me. The next Tuesday I came back again. She goes, what are you doing here today? And I go, what? She goes, you didn't tell me it's every Tuesday at 10. So she was thinking, I'm going to go do a lesson on habits or whatever. It's like when they invite you to their class and say, can you come and teach my class on problem solving in 45 minutes? You know? So what we started with somebody who we thought had a little more flexibility in the schedule, and the principal supported it, and that's why it started, because, you know, in order to change anybody's schedule or show up in somebody's classroom, it goes through the principal. And then eventually the teacher caught on, and our students came to Erskine's class, and that semester ended. And the school year ended, and those fifth graders went to middle school. And then the next year, we had a back-to-school night, where the sixth grader was now in the middle school, but the sixth grader had siblings in our school still, younger sisters and brothers, and chased me down in the hallway, Miss Weiner, I'm still using my habits. So, you know, to answer the question, I said, like what? You tell me what you're using. You mean your habits of brushing your teeth? No, the thinking habits and the habits of mind. I said, well, give me an example when you're in middle school, which habit, and, you know, we'll have discussions like that, and they're using them. So it might not be every child in the school, and it won't be every teacher in the school, and it sure won't be everybody all at the same time. But back and forth, the trickle, you leave and you come back, and you tell somebody, hey, that helped me in middle school when, you know, I had this, I liked most of my teachers, but there was this one I just couldn't stand, and she didn't stand me, and we couldn't stand each other, and I said to myself, I need this class, and I need to do what I need to do to get through this class, so I am going to think about what I say and do in order not to make trouble. You know, like something like that, which is what we do.
Right.
You know, when we sit there and go, I really don't want to do this, but I know I have to, so I think to answer your question, even though it's very broad and it could be answered in a lot of directions, we do see some of the children coming back who have left. And we do see some of the kids, when you share a lesson, she'll see something the next day when I'm not there. And she'll remark to me, she'll remark to me, you know, one of the kids wants to start a magazine on habits of mind. And I'll go, a magazine? Yeah. Like how habits of mind is used in sports with the Miami Heat, when LeBron got mad and had this technical that one time when somebody called something on him and he didn't like it. And then also in fashion, how we use creativity in fashion, and then, you know, you might wear a high heel and I might wear a low top, and I'm listening to this, what is she, 9 years old or 8? Listening to, I call her Professor Rydell, because she is now coaching me along with habits of mind. So for us, it's a real treat. It's not everybody, and it's not everywhere, but it is slowly taking root, we feel. That's enough from me.
It's enough for me too.
Maybe Martha, just before we get to the scavenger hunt, several of the community members have provided professional development for the school, so I'll ask them to just give you a quick brief of what they did. And next to you is Kathy and George, who have done stuff up there, so go that way. Lynn has done stuff, so Lynn, if you don't mind, start that way. Tell her what you did.
Well, actually, Maria and I were maybe the second batch of people to go through, I think, to provide, and we provided hands-on experiences, and we were actually there the same time that George was there. And we were linking habits of mind to the subject area of literacy. So it's daunting. No, it's a challenge, like a night going into a field. The people at Charles Weich, the teachers are so nice, but we were talking to a group of people who were coaches and math people and English and all subject areas, who were like, you know, first of all, what does reading have to do with me? And then what does habits of mind have to, although they had some habits of mind, you know, but mostly what was reading have to do with me? So Maria and I tried to prepare some real hands-on activities that could be used across all disciplines and different disciplines, and then we engaged them in those hands-on activities and looping in the habits of mind, showing how those were integral. Like, do you want to see anything? Tell us
Well,
about that.
I think part of our presentation involved the Common Core, and linking habits of mind to Common Core.
That was
with
yours.
Oh, that was with you, okay, because I did two.
She did too.
Yeah,
she did a second one with
Yeah, ours
us.
wasn't.
Well, I understand that frustration. I was a CRIS trainer when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
And so I got that a lot, you know, why do I have to learn this
Yeah.
strategy for my band class and, you know, so forth and so on, I'm just here for the hours and, you know, 3 weeks later, you're like, where's your lesson plan and what's, you know, what's going on? And so
But
I
it's-
understand when that fight comes, but
Well, it's a wonderful challenge.
It
It's
is a
actually,
wonderful
so
challenge.
you think you don't want to learn about this,
Right.
huh? And then you hook them in by some kind of good activity or something.
one, it's always possible to get people to,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, our whole school was certified in CRIS, so that was a fun time.
Yep. And then George and Kathy?
Yeah, basically it was fun. I did work with the teachers and the principal, with what I would do in the classes here, is I engage in the science. We did density activity the first time up, and then we did a nice STEM engineering activity the second time we went out. And when you engage them in the science, and a lot of the people there are teaching science, most are teaching science and math, it's very familiar ground to them. So then the linking that activity back to the standards, science processes, the thinking skills, and the habits of mind becomes fairly easy and fun for them to identify the components of, we use a 5E learning strategy, which is engaging the students, having the students explore a science phenomena, and then they need, as students, to explain as much as what they understand as possible. Then you're assessing, so using some type of form. We like to use science notebooks, but we use some type of activity form sheets with the teachers. And then the teachers are sort of explaining the process, both of the science learning, which is often for adults just as much as shock and awe as our children, because they may not have explored particular activities together. And they are tromping around. My biggest issue is safety, where they're standing up on ladders and going up, they're falling off the chairs, like my students are. Yeah, and it's amazingly engaged.
But they're
And
not
then,
18 anymore.
you know, so the lesson I feel strongly about, we never have enough time. But I think since the school is engaged in habits of mind, they have opportunities to think back of how those science explorations, if you will, are meaningful not only to them, but how they would be meaningful to the children. So when I can, I leave the materials there, and hopefully some of the teachers are picking up on it, and then they have to tell me how that goes, because they're on a busy schedule and we're doing things. But I think they're going to engage with the same activities when you leave, especially the ones that they haven't tried. And to me, they're all scientists. And that's what we want our children to experience.
And below you, Eva and Sheriff went up to.
We did a little activity with integrating physical education into math and reading strategies and brain-based learning and what, you know, how beneficial moving is just to, you know, create a good learning environment for all of the.
Yeah, and what we did was we looked at the reading standards across grade levels and the physical education standards across grade levels. And for each activity, we picked at least one standard from reading and one standard from physical activity to show how you can integrate.
In one
them
habit
into
of
one
mind.
in one habit of mind.
It sounds like what I do in yoga class, so.
It was fun.
Good. We had a good time.
And some of the teachers initially were a little reluctant, but, you know, to volunteer for
Just
the physical
participate.
activity.
Yeah, somebody
Physical.
told me the next day, ooh, and I said, what? Ah.
Oh.
Yes, you gifted so many gifted
That's funny. That was fun.
And Lynn and Helen and Maria was there too?
Yes, all three of us. It's in content area, reading and writing, graphic organizers, and
With the habits of
the
mind.
habits of mind, connected them to the
Common
Core.
And Angela was there too?
And I was assigned with the early childhood. It's basically making thinking visible and how it's aligned with the habits of mind, and basically approaching the whole curriculum, integrating the curriculum.
And Daniela with Global Citizen.
Mhm.
Just so that you know, because you guys come and then you come back to this world and you have shared plenty of wonderful things, but then you're in a different environment. I've had comments like 1 to 2 or 3 weeks will go by and somebody will pass me and say, "Oh, I just wanted to tell you I did that activity." And I'm, like, which one? And they have mentioned things that every single person in this room, plus Daniela and others have shared. And that means everything to me. To give you this piece of feedback that it isn't, you're probably wondering on your drive back, I took this big long hike up there and back, and it was time and effort to prepare this, and I shared it, and some people seemed receptive, and some just put on a show, and I don't really know. And we always think, how did this go, and will it be useful? But 2 or 3 weeks can pass, and somebody will say, "Oh, it worked great in my second period class," and I'll say, "What?" And we made a roller coaster, or we tied in writing, and we did, we pulled down the map, and and I'll think, I just take this moment to be sure to thank you, because sometimes it's not immediate, and sometimes time does give us a chance to percolate things and to figure out, it looked so easy when she did it. It looked so easy when he did it. When they did it, yeah, this is what they do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But you've done things that teachers did have a chance to try, and so we really appreciate it.
Well, take this back, too. The second time I went out, I had the teachers who are in my graduate program work with me to create the lesson so that the teacher's end of it would be appreciated, not just like I do a lot of the undergraduate courses, so not quite there yet, but in terms of the teacher's perspective of saying, well, what will teachers identify with in a workshop with this activity? So I have them do the activity, engage in discussion, feedback to me, how I would present the workshop back to another set of teachers. So that's going that way. And then my undergraduate students are learning about the day before that these teachers were doing the same things I'm asking them to do and receptive to it, so that the message goes that way. Just like if you work with Erskine's class, you got to have all of this cross-pollination, so that whatever is going on where the teachers are doing some work in your school, and that is great to hear, you got to realize that you're feeding the university with all of the work and good things that you do with these models. So it works both
That's
ways.
important, because we always have this discussion, which comes first, the elementary school, the public school system, or the university. And, people say, well, you're in pre-K before you're in university. Well, when you start in elementary, you come here to the university, and then where do you go? Right back to the public schools, looking for a job and teaching. So, and then your students come here, so it's really that big, thick circle and that relationship that continues.
And the one other step is the people who are going to the master's program and the EDS and the doctorate programs end up working through their leadership in the district, the Miami-Dade district. They're volunteering for leadership and running into the teachers from various schools, including your school, so that, again, for those who are researchers out there, they can maybe follow this a little differently and look at that. But it's about, the community element of this is very exciting.
By the way, don't be alarmed, we're coming to the scavenger hunt. The reason that we wanted to, this is going to Michelle, all of your, because we wanted her to get a feel for you, okay? So we're coming to this scavenger hunt, but I think this will help Maria a great deal seeing you as a real community. Maria just joined us. Maria is part of the learning community. Hi, Maria.
Hi. I'm sorry, I was at another meeting.
Okay. What would be good in terms of transitioning for Michelle? Martha, everybody, well, not everyone, in order to get this trainer certification, you heard Ben, it's through the Institute for Habits of Mind with whom we're working. And so they asked us to pay the fee for that process. Not everybody in the community was able to pay the fee. Lynn, like her experience, was able to get travel funds. So Lynn, would you speak out? Put words in your mouth. Tell her what you did.
No, if you have.
Maria.
Actually, it was Aisha, I believe Aisha started the process of, can we use travel funds for this $500, not the one mentioned by Benna today, but for this certification we're going through. And Maria followed through with the dean and so on also to ask about this and get it cleared. And our